Teachers of Reddit, what's the stupidest thing you've caught a student doing in your class? 9th grade girls ate pot brownies for the first time, freaked out in class, asked to go to the nurse, and cried that they needed to go to confession. Student was holding scissors very close to his eyes. When I asked why he was doing this, he responded that he was just trimming his eyelashes. That's all. Said it like it was a completely normal thing to do. First grader. Here's to hoping he has a bright future and 2 functioning eyes to see it. Had a student who would bang on the windows when she was upset. She would only tap it, but I'd stop her and say, "Don't do that, you're gonna break it and hurt yourself." Sure enough, one day she hit the window extra hard and it shattered. Poor girl just looked at me and started to cry with blood dripping down her arm. Giving/receiving a hand job under the table at the back of the class. They must have thought I couldn't see, or maybe they did, and that's how they flip their switch. Regardless, I simply said, "Those two who are texting at the back, put your phones away." Awkward blushing all round. Not a teacher, but a guy in my school got caught masturbating in class, got detention, then got caught masturbating in detention. Had a 6th grade student tell people to call him Jigglypuff. He regretted it after 2 hours, until he eventually left the school. Had a kid who used his school ID and a pile of eraser shavings to try and teach his friends how to do a line of coke, snorting included. Not sure inhaling eraser shavings has the same effect. I had a student, A, who copied part of another student's, B, lab report. The problem is that they shared the document in Google Docs and student B wrote in the text, in a freaking different color, something along the lines of, "You should change this section of your analysis, because it's too similar to mine, and the teacher might notice." The 2 students then had 6 to 8 lines of dialogue in 2 different colors, where they discuss the text they are plagiarizing. And it was handed in without taking those parts out. Talk about amateurs. Had a kid who liked to fart during class to get attention. Would do it multiple times a class period until one day he pushed too hard and crapped his pants. Never did it again. Must have been a pretty shitty day for that kid. One of my 2nd graders was trying to eat his own shoe. Wonder if it gave him the runs. I once had a kid, 7th grader, come to school covered in soot and reeking of what smelled like a BBQ grill. Turned out he was high off his ass and was trying to cook out marijuana extract on his stove in his kitchen, and his stuff exploded on him. He was so high he couldn't think of anything better to do but come to school, since he was already in trouble for truancy. That and the dozens of other kids I've busted coming to school high in my 7 years working in public school in Colorado. Not a teacher, but one guy in our class in high school picked up a floor tile and dropped it on another student's head who happened to sit right in front of the teacher. The teacher just let out a long sigh and said, "Are you a fucking idiot? Go to the office." Was the other kid okay? No, it sounded like he got floored. I had a kid stick a paper clip into an outlet. He flew out of his chair and blew out the circuits of a wing of the school. 10th grade. I once took a note from a boy and a girl who were passing it back and forth. I shoved it in my pocket and continued my lesson. I completely forgot about it until later that day when I felt something scratchy. Read the note. I usually don't, but this one I did, and it was a negotiation for the cost of a blowjob. He wanted to give her $10, but she wanted $100. He argued it would be an honor to suck him off and maybe she should be paying him. By the time I took the note, the price was down to $97.50. I believe the 50 cents was a waste removal fee. Since I totally don't get paid enough to deal with this kind of shit, I called the counselor and let her deal with it. Note that I have a file of such stories and inappropriate student work. I'll publish a book when I retire. I've only been a high school teacher for 15 years, but that folder is impressively thick. Only 20 more years to go to add to it. How much will I charge for the book? Not sure yet, but I will make sure it ends with .50. One kid was throwing candy on the floor, the other was hoovering it up with their mouth. High school students on a noticeably dirty floor. Not a teacher, but my own idiot son. 7th grade, decided it would be funny to take instant mashed potatoes to school in a small baggie. Told his friends it was Hazardous. Other kid sees idiot son with drugs, runs out of bathroom to tell teacher. Son freaks out and flushes baggie. Expelled for a year for bringing drugs to school. He's 15 now, still catches shit about it from family. One time I had a student, 2nd grade, who was constantly getting out of his seat and running around. I got fed up and told him to glue himself to his seat. He decided to take it literally. Maybe I was the stupid one here. Another time a student tried to tell me that his real name was Blaze. 1st grade. Not a teacher, but an 8th grade two kids fucked in the middle of the fucking hallway. I was teaching my 4th grade class one year when suddenly a cell phone starts ringing. This was probably 10 years ago, so it was not at all common for a 4th grader to have one, let alone to have it start ringing in class. It was the first time that happened to me as a teacher. So I stopped class and asked who had a cell phone. Everyone is shaking their heads, looking around, trying to find where it's coming from. Suddenly, one of the chubbier boys in my class figured out it's him, stands up, and shouts, "Oh no, I have my sister's pants on by mistake. She's gonna kill me." Not a teacher, but my sister knew a kid who ate one of those dinosaur sponge things, pill-shaped thingy, during lunch as a joke. He got very sick. Oh, last month, during 9th period, I watched a boy I hated eat the inside of a highlighter. He went to the hospital. Both of these kids were in high school. Catching them in lies. I teach digital citizenship and internet safety. The number of 10-year-olds who were messaged by Momo, so they hacked Mama back to get her to stop go on this thing called the dark web all the time. Someone started cyberbullying them, so they found the cyberbully and yelled/punched him to make it stop. Is incredible. Tetchy little geniuses they are. And just so much hacking. Their game didn't work, it was hacked. They are mad at someone, they are going to hack them. I did have a 9-year-old explain Reddit to me last month. Unfortunately, that probably wasn't a lie, and he does go on here. He ate an entire cutie orange. When I say entire, I mean entire. Peel and all. He just threw the entire thing in his mouth and chewed through it. The stupidest thing my kids do is try to act tough when I tell them I'll call their parents, but I'm not on the phone yet. When I sit down and start making the call, they always come over and start pleading. Then they start crying once I make the call and put them on the line. Congrats kid. You looked cool for 2 seconds, then started bawling in front of the whole class. Had a high school senior pee in a water bottle in the middle of class. Never asked to go to the bathroom or anything, just did it. Not a teacher, but someone once tried to turn a book report that they plagiarized, but each page contained the URL to the original site at the bottom. He's not plagiarizing, he's citing his sources. Kid brought a box of uncooked pasta to class and was just eating it like chips. I don't know if it's the stupidest thing ever, but he just might be. I'm not a teacher, but a kid in my class once shat on the floor, then tried to get away with it by pouring water all over it hoping it would dissolve. Not a teacher, but in middle school a kid in my honors life science class was annoying the teacher by clicking and tapping his pen rapidly during class while she was speaking very loudly. She asked him multiple times to please stop and even provided him a pencil to use. He refused and kept clicking and tapping the pen. She ends up taking both the pen and the pencil, and he asks, "Well, what do I write with then?" Mind you, he had not written anything in his notebook, and she said, "Figure it out, or apologize to get the pen back." He didn't apologize, and actually stabbed himself with his long ass fingernails, and began writing notes in blood. Not a teacher, but we had a serial shitter my senior year. Ended up being a freshman, but he didn't get caught till he was a senior. Dude would just shit in the hallway all over. I asked my mom, and she said that one day, while she was teaching some 7th graders, she noticed that one was leaning back too far in his chair. Then the expected happened. He fell backwards and hit his head on the desk behind him. The chair shot out with enough force to fly 8 feet across the room and bounced off the wall, creating a sound like a gunshot. The teacher from the other class ran in thinking something terrible had happened, just to find everyone laughing at that poor boy. I'm a swimming teacher. I once had a student saying she was allergic to the deep end of the pool and could not go in.